This space, we talk extensively about worthiness, and I want to share a little bit more about why it's such an important topic to really dive deep into. In my own journey, realizing the core essence of what worthiness is and how we've been programmed and primed to not have any was fundamental to shifting and catapulting into a healed, higher, evolved version of myself. So, I want that for you too. Let's break it down. We are born into this world and we have a plethora of things that are available to us at all times. We're just programmed most of the time to receive and to seek the lower density experiences that keep us away from true love intelligence. What do I mean by that? Well, your maker, my maker, gave us all free will. And when you have free will, there's so many things you could choose from. But guess what? We all have been primed to wake up and choose. Literally waking up and saying, of all the things that are available, I'm going to choose lack. Lack of worthiness literally is the fundamental opposite of true love intelligence. And when you choose lack consciousness and you choose to play small or you choose to invalidate yourself, you cannot, with that present, receive truly and be grounded truly in authentic love, meaning that your connections are loving, your life is vibrant, you feel full of vitality, you feel healthy because you're operating in a frequency that is away from the literal truth of what you are made from. Let's get a little bit clearer in that. It was something for me when I read the book Worthy that I realized, oh, I can have really high self-confidence, but self-esteem is on a different trajectory. And they have to be streamlined, right? If you were to draw that graph, like the guy who was like, F around and find out, you need them to be going in a streamlined direction together. So how do you become aware? Well, here are 10 signs that you are operating from lack and operating from the wound of feeling unworthy. Number 1, constantly seeking external validation. Number 2, feeling like an imposter despite your accomplishments. And none of this is a call out. We all have operated in 1 or all 10 at some point in time. Dismissing compliments or success as luck. Over apologizing. And over apologizing is really deep when it comes to the good girl complex and understanding it and then overcoming it. Prioritizing others' needs at the expense of your own. Staying silent in moments you should speak up. Perfectionism leading to burnout. I knew that one very well. Fear of rejection stopping new ventures. Overthinking every decision. And then 10, feeling unworthy of rest and real joy. Now, I want to share with you how you can shift from lack into a state of worthiness and what that would look like. So as you evolve and grow and start doing it more, you'll be like, wow, my self-worth has really grown. And remembering it's just a journey. There will be times that you go back and forth and you're not to judge yourself for it. Let's start with moving from constantly seeking external validation into worthiness. What would that look like? It would really look like you validate yourself first. Now, this one is really important because everything that you're experiencing is a reflection of you to a certain degree. And so if you begin to build a relationship with yourself, and this is the work that I do with my clients in the container, is really having a deep understanding, relationship, connection, and knowing of your inner voice and knowing what the foundational part of your healing success is, which is talking to yourself and validating yourself, shifts you into worthiness, shifts you into love. And 9 times out of 10, your being just wants your acknowledgement. You just want your own acknowledgement, which is why it became an external thing, because you were conditioned to think it's outside of you. This space is just designed to remind you how powerful you are, truly. Like, I'm not just saying that, but truly. And even in my own journey, realizing like, whoa, the answers were within me? That's insane. Who would have known? But now you do. So how do you move from feeling like an imposter despite accomplishments? Well, you would, number 2, you begin to own your successes and your strengths. So when you start moving from feeling like an imposter despite accomplishments, you start to own your success and strengths. You start to validate yourself first and say, you know what? I have done so much for myself up until this moment. Even now, being here, I'm choosing myself, and that is going to lead to my success. And just honoring that, spending time in it. Now, dismissing compliments or success as luck, that's number 3. How you move from dismissing compliments or success as luck would be you acknowledging and accepting in real time the compliments that are sent to you. So that means that you receive praise without deflection. How many times has someone been like, oh, I really love what you're wearing? And then you've been like, oh my gosh, this, I got it from da 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 da. Or I know I'm speaking from personal experience because I know that I've done that, and I'm like, whoa, that is me invalidating myself in real time. Or if someone's like, you're so beautiful, and instead of you just being like, thank you, I really appreciate your kind words, you're like, oh my gosh, you too, and like deflecting back. Of course, it can be kind and it can be courteous to baton the energy back, but sometimes it's important to just practice accepting, oh, I really liked the art that you made. I really liked the dress that you sewed from scratch. I really love the business that you grew. And not just being like, oh my gosh, this went wrong and this went wrong. And then finally I made the dress, and this went wrong. And then I finally was able to open the nail salon. Or, the photos, it took me so many tries to get this one shoot, but we finally got it. Like, you are taking away the emphasis and the praise that you deserve to receive. And just catch yourself, right? It's not about completely shifting it, and maybe in understanding that you've been deflecting, and then you shift to receive without deflection. So when you stop dismissing the compliments and you start receiving without deflection, you are literally signaling to life, you are signaling to God, I really love myself. I really know I'm worthy of receiving these words of praise. Because you could sit here and say all day consciously, I want this, I want more money, I want more success, I want more love, I want my relationships to be better, I want to feel respected. Well, are you respecting yourself? Are you receiving without deflection? Are you receiving without overgiving, overextending? Because when someone compliments you and you baton it back, that is you reenacting the frequency of overgiving, overgiving, overgiving. Just learn to be in the resonant state of, I receive that without needing to deflect or diminish. Or diminish? Or diminish the importance of receiving. All right, so then we move to over-apologizing. So when you're finally ready to move out of over-apologizing, setting healthy boundaries without guilt is so important for women. Because when you can make a boundary for yourself without guilt, you are literally signaling, I respect myself, I trust myself, to create parameters that are created with the intention of love at the basis to protect myself. And those boundaries that you make without guilt are not for other people. You don't make a boundary and say, this is my boundary, blah, 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 blah. The boundary you make is intrinsic within you. For example, in my own life, I decided I'm not going to allow family or friends or people I know to speak to me without love, because they are only speaking to me based on the inner critic voice that I have within myself, or the frequency of receiving that energy from caretakers growing up. And it could have been conscious, it could have been unconscious. What I mean is, if I grew up and I didn't always receive a loving tone, a loving expression, and then the voice inside me recorded that and then speaks to me that way, it is my job to change the relationship I have with my inner voice by validating myself, by understanding my strengths and successes, and then by receiving without deflection. I then can create boundaries without guilt. And for me, that was, I am communicating to myself with love, therefore, I command the external to reflect that to me. So what might that look like when I create that boundary in myself without guilt? It looks like if someone is speaking to me, deviating away from the intention I have already set, I ask, oh, are you speaking to me with a intention to uplift me and to love me in this moment. And then they're like, well, I only mean, you could be doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, well, could you honor the way that you are communicating that to me? Could you say it with love, intelligence at the center? Could you say it in a way to uplift me? That is me asking and protecting and upholding my boundary of, I'm not willing to receive anything that is not based in love, that is not respectful to me, that is not uplifting of me. And when a situation, a conversation, a person comes at me with an energy from my past identity or from maybe lingering aspects of my lack, I have the real-time moment to practice. I'm not upholding that anymore. So will you join me in shifting to treating me with the worth that I already have inside myself, and then realize where you were coming at me from? And that is how you set boundaries without guilt. That's an example of it. This is the work that I get deeper in with my clients. So we don't really have the practice to do it one-to-one, but if you'd like to, that'd be something I'd love to support you in. Now, 5, prioritizing others' needs at the expense of your own. When you shift from prioritizing others' needs at the expense of your own, you actually shift into balancing giving with self-nurturing. You balance giving with self-nurturing. So that means that the energy of giving and receiving is in harmony. When you give, and you create the identity of the giver from your survival archetype, you are literally signaling lack, which is interesting because we're conditioned to think, oh, I have to give, I have to give, I have to give, I have to be good, I have to be nice, I have to be, I have to do these things, do these things, do these things. But that actually shifts you away from real, authentic embodiment of the truth of your soul. That's not to say you won't give, but when you shift into worthiness, when you shift into true love intelligence, you actually balance giving with self-nurturing and self-nourishment. That means literally spending moments in time with yourself and actually appreciating it, and then calling in different parts of yourself. And asking yourself, when you're about to give, literally stop and say, am I giving this because I genuinely want to? Or am I giving this because I believe I have to? And listen to your internal voice. You can also ask, am I giving because I need to? Or am I giving because I want to? And need to can be need to because I'm trying to uphold this identity, to keep myself safe, to show up as the good person, as the giver. Or am I doing it because I want to, because I genuinely have a connection to whatever situation and context I'm giving to? And just wait for the answer and don't judge yourself. If you realize, oh, I'm giving because I feel that I need to be good or I need to be nice, just spend some time and be curious as to why that is still present in you and how. Ask yourself, how can I shift to giving because I genuinely want to, and I'm in resonance with the moment, and I'm doing it from authenticity. So, number 6, staying silent in moments you should speak up. Well, in moments that you should speak up, worthiness would be speaking your truth with confidence. When you can speak your truth with confidence, you shift out of having to stay silent to keep the peace, because that is an attachment to playing small to avoid conflict. You didn't come here to be small and to play nice. You came here to speak your truth with confidence, with love, intelligence, because guess what? Confidence and self-esteem, like I said earlier, confidence and self-esteem equals worthiness. So when you can speak with confidence, you are literally signaling and becoming the divine channel for more of the light of God to come into co-creation with you in that moment. When you speak with genuine truth, genuine love, and genuine confidence, you are worthy of all of the goodness that God can literally download into you and become the moment. So, really important to start speaking your truth with confidence and love. And when you don't feel that you have the strength to, be curious and ask yourself why. Why are you holding back? Why are you playing small? Is it a visibility wound? Is it a safety that you perceive that is really just a branch of control? So many questions. But when you operate in this lack, you literally close off the channel to allow worthiness to flow through you. And worthiness is just love. Now, when you are a number 7, perfectionism leading to burnout, this is a very exhausting frequency to be in. And trust me, I am speaking from experience and love. Perfectionism leading to burnout. When you shift away from that, you actually start to embrace progress over perfectionism. So shifting from perfectionism is just you embrace progress over perfectionism. If I was still stuck in perfectionism, we wouldn't be here today. Truly shifting out of that allows you to do what you are divinely called to. It's okay to do things and to make it imperfect and make improvements along the way. My cousin and I have a joke where as you do things from creative inspiration and you just do things to try and error and make mistakes along the way, I've called it the Apple intelligence, where I started with iPhone 1, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, and now we're at iPhone 17 Pro Max in the evolution journey of shifting out of perfectionism and just doing things. Just do. You'll actually receive more feedback from the divine as you do than staying in perfectionism, because it is really just you holding on to lack consciousness, is you thinking that you don't have everything when you already created with everything that you need inside you. And truly understanding that you're going to have to make a mess along the way to get to where you are destined to be. Number 8, fear of rejection stopping you from new ventures. This is a huge one, because if you are operating in a fear of rejection, and as someone who has literally had to learn to navigate rejection sensitivity, if you stay in the fear of rejection, you literally block blessings. Like literally, fear of rejection is blocking your blessings, truly. Because that means that you don't trust that you can take aligned action. You don't trust that things can come to you by just exposing yourself with your vulnerability and your truth of who you are. Operating from fear of rejection is literally you telling yourself you're not good enough. It is literally you telling yourself you need to be liked or else. Danger. And sometimes that is tied into the visibility wound, but only with real, true, contained work and support can you get to the root of where it's stemming from. But once you start shifting away from fear of rejection, stopping your new ventures, you actually take aligned action. You take aligned action despite your fear. And again, truly, we are here in this now moment as a testament of that. Coming from a culture that does not talk about these things, that does not emphasize the importance of being inside your being and evolving and talking to yourself and talking about healing and wounds. I have literally had to trust the unseen to be in this now moment. And if I can do it, you can do it. Take aligned action despite your fear and be curious about where your fear is coming from, and then love yourself through it. Don't shame, condemn, doubt, and guilt yourself back into lack, but shift into true love. Okay, now number 9, overthinking every decision. When you shift away from overthinking every decision, you actually move into you trust yourself to decide well. Now, this one can be tricky for those who have felt that they've been labeled sensitive or too much, causing you to question your own internal voice. When you have these elaborate desires and you want a grand life and you just don't want to settle for less, you almost get caught in the cycle of other people's projections onto you, and you start overthinking every decision. Maybe you also made one decision that wasn't to your highest good, and you judge yourself for it, causing you to spiral into overthinking, into doing crowd surfing surveys. You ask this person, that person, every single person outside of yourself except the most important voice, which is your soul. And so how do we embody soulful liberation? By coming back to your true essence of self-esteem and self-confidence. You trust yourself to decide well, and you start building that connection, shifting from overthinking, and you literally talk to the thoughts, you send them away, and you ask your soul. Right now, I invite you to try with me. Soul, how can I trust myself more? My soul told me in this now moment, you can embody the truth of who you are and trust that every step you take is guided. And I'm curious what your soul answered when you truly asked that question. Soul, what can I do to trust myself more? And actually ask the question with real intention of hearing the answer within. My soul just tells me that trust that you are being guided, because I am. And when I stopped shifting from overthinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? What's going to happen? How am I going to do? Will I? And I just be in the resonance of the now moment and access the physiological state of peace and surrender so that I can hear the truth and the guidance. I build trust with myself to decide well. So powerful. Now, last but not least, feeling unworthy of rest or real joy. When you move away from this, you start to realize you know that you deserve real rest and authentic joy. You shift into knowing that you deserve authentic rest as well as authentic joy. Rest can be more than one way. I used to think that rest was just laying down and doing nothing, truly. But there are so many different forms of rest. There's emotional rest, there is physical rest, and mental rest. So really tap into your being and ask yourself which form of rest is most poignant to your now moment in your healing journey. Which one is at the forefront? Of course, you need all of them. And there are more, but there's more aspects of rest. But which one do you need the most in the now? And trust that that's going to shift you into elevating and healing and becoming more of who you truly are. And that, my friend, is how you begin to acknowledge where you are in lacking worthiness and shifting into true sovereignty, shifting into love, and actually embodying the frequency of worthiness, which is confidence plus self-esteem together, so that God can actually gift you those experiences. And you can stop blocking it. When you put that lack on your hip, you block the pink tutu that God wants to put on you, so you can literally be a pink tutu princess that is dancing around in self-love. Wouldn't you like that? I feel like that sounds so amazing. Like, I'm wearing my worthiness skirt. I'm wearing my worthiness skirt. I pray that you enjoyed being able to see the display of what the difference is. And if you'd like to go deeper into this, you can always book an alignment call with me and we can see what supports you best in your journey of healing. But until then, see you in your next day of healing.